A survey from right before the postseason showed that 83% of MLB fans wanted the Baltimore Orioles to be the team who represented the American League in the 2023 World Series. And I was certainly part of that 83%. Unless you're a fan of another team involved in the American League postseason, then how can you not be? The dream was absolutely to see this magical 101 win season go all the way to the Fall Classic as Birdland finally gets the chance to flood beautiful Camden Yards with orange rally towels for the first time in 9 years. But just 25 hours after the war began, the dream was fading. The O's are suddenly down 2-0 heading to Texas. I'll tell you if I think they have a chance or not, but first let's understand what happened this weekend. Game 1 on Saturday afternoon was scheduled for 1:03 p.m. but it started in a 1 hour and 12-minute rain delay. Both Andrew Heaney and Kyle Bradish were making their first career postseason starts, despite Heaney having been in the league for 8 more years than Bradish. The game was scoreless until the 4th, until, dare I say it, future Hall of Famer Evan Carter delivered the first run of the series with an RBI double to right. Jonah Heim would bring home Carter, who acrobatically dodged the line drive up the middle. The O's would respond immediately though, as Ryan Mountcastle delivered an RBI double down the left field line, scoring Anthony Santander all the way from first. It was the O's first playoff run at Camden Yards since Game 2 of the 2014 ALCS vs. Kansas City. Josh Young and Anthony Santander would exchange solo homers in the 6th inning. The Rangers made the daring decision to insert Aroldis Chapman in the 8th inning. A recent survey showed that Chapman caused 27% of baseball fans the most stress of any player over the past 5 years, which is by far the highest mark in the league. Birdland was rocking when Chapman started the frame with a walk, wild pitch, and walk. Both the tying and go-ahead runs were on base with nobody out against a seemingly lost pitcher, but Chapman was bailed out in a devastating way for O's fans and America as Santander hit into a double play. That was followed by a Mountcastle strikeout, which sent it to the 9th, where the Rangers brought in their closer Jose Leclerc. Henderson laced a base hit into right to start the 9th, and suddenly Birdland was rocking once again, but Leclerc, just as Chapman was bailed out. Henderson was thrown out trying to steal second on a not-so-close play. Some say that Henderson was lost in the moment, running in slow motion as if it were a movie scene. Apparently Aaron Hicks missed a hit and run sign, taking the outside pitch and proceeding to strike out on the next pitch. And just like that, the Rangers were up 1-0 in the series, a huge loss for Baltimore, but certainly not the season. But Sunday afternoon did feel as though the season was on the line. The Orioles rolled out their beautiful orange Saturday jerseys that they failed to wear for Saturday's Game 1, and it started off incredibly for the O's. With the bases loaded and 2 outs in the first, Jordan Montgomery was finally touched in October as his former Yankee teammate Aaron Hicks put the O's up 2-0 with an RBI single to right. I recall telling my brother that Hicks would be out of the league after the series if he didn't deliver in this situation, considering his costly mistake at the end of Game 1. But between that hit and what he'd later do in the 9th, his place in the league is secured heading into 2024. Gunnar Henderson dove under the tag of Jonah Heim on the base hit by Aaron Hicks, which is ironic because it was the Henderson-Hicks duo who left a sour taste in O's fans' mouths at the end of Game 1. And immediately it was those two in the first inning of Game 2 who changed the vibes in Baltimore. But unfortunately would not last long. Grayson Rodriguez was a disaster in the 2nd inning, allowing 5 runs to cross for Texas and being pulled out of the game after 1 2/3. In the top of the 3rd, Mitch Garver hit a grand slam to make it 9-2 right as my internet faded driving down a windy road in the woods, and I was no longer sad that I couldn't watch the rest of the game. Henderson would make it 10-5 in the 5th inning with a blast onto Utah Street as the crowd was electric and packed Camden Yards was looking beautiful during that awesome October 6 p.m. time of the day where it's starting to get dark out. Aaron Hicks would make it 11-8 in the 9th inning with a 3-run shot off Leclerc to finish his big bounce-back day. But ultimately that 9-2 deficit was just too big. The O's fell short by 3 runs. They're down 2-0, and it's problematic that they're heading on the road to face Nathan Eovaldi rather than if this was a situation where they were coming home to their crowd to face a Texas number 3 pitcher or something. The O's still have not announced their Game 3 and 4 pitcher while I'm filming this. The assumption is that it'll be Kyle Gibson and Dean Kramer in some order, but which order is essential, being that they're going up against elimination in Game number 3. Words cannot express how happy I would be if the Orioles are somehow able to turn this into a series of the road team and send this thing back to Camden Yards for an electric Game 5. And that's still possible. This magical Orioles season is not officially over just yet. The dream is technically still alive, my friends. But realistically, it's just extremely unlikely that you go into Texas and win 2 straight games against a team who's 4-0 in the postseason, all victories on the road, and now gets to play their first playoff games ever at Globe Life Field. I saw this series as a complete toss-up coming in. I went with the Baltimore Orioles to get it done in 5 games. It's not 100% over yet. The Rangers have been a streaky team all season, so if you get 1, then you have a chance to get 3 against this Texas team. But it seems like the O's have run into the Rangers at the wrong time. They're flourishing after finishing the regular season poorly. They hit a good streak just in the nick of time to save their season and likely move on to the ALCS. And good for Texas, man. If the Orioles are going to lose, I'm thrilled that it's going to be to the Texas Rangers instead of a Rays-Trop situation. It seems pretty likely that a Rangers-Astros ALCS is waiting in the wings, my friends. That looked like a possible ALDS matchup for a while, but the seedings didn't align. Who would have known that they would both ultimately make it all the way to the ALCS? If the Astros are to go to their 7th straight ALCS and play the Rangers, it's the first time in the streak that they're not playing an AL East opponent. So ultimately, playoff runs in Houston are so iconic at this point, so if they're going to continue, let it be against a Rangers team in ultimate battle for the state of Texas. That will be so much fun to watch. Those two passionate Texas fan bases fighting for World Series rights. Ain't going to be anything like it if the O's cannot advance.